Okay, I just wanted to preface this video by stating that some of the information in here could be a little bit outdated, as anything related to archaeology can become severely outdated in a short amount of time, and I read this about 6 months ago. So it may be outdated to my knowledge, but from what I see, it is still fairly accurate to what it is trying to describe. I just want to let you know that it could be outdated. I'm linking my sources in the description to be cross-examined by anyone who may be curious. Have you ever wondered where you came from? Not in the sense of how you were born, how you were made, as the act of human reproduction is widely known among anyone above the age of 12, I would say. But it is in the sense where did humanity come from? Evolution. I'm going to assume you probably haven't because you're probably normal. You probably don't just go around thinking about evolution all the time unless like you're in a class or like watching a video that's discussing it like this. But I do think about it often, so I compiled a list of like the most accurate timeline as I could. Now, many sources agree that our first quote unquote human ancestor was the Australopithecus afarensis, and I must apologize if I'm horrible at pronouncing anything. I'm horrible at everything. And this specimen is named Lucy. She would have been a bit like a chimp, not fully. She would have been able to walk upright, just not for a while. And this species, while not a member of the Homo genus, which is the staple of being human, it's pretty human-like by the most dumbed-down standards that we could have. Okay, so Lucy and her species is from about 3.2 million years ago and is one of our oldest non-ape ancestors. Lucy would have lived with saber-toothed tigers. I just felt like throwing that in there to like put it in scale. Next up would be the robust Australopith, which was identified by dental adaptations. These This species lived about 2.5 million years ago. The earliest evidence of the Homo genus emerged about 2.8 million years ago. So like right before the robust Australopith, we just haven't found enough things to identify very many species before that. In fact, none. And then the first human ancestor of the Homo genus was the Homo habilis, which came from Africa about 2.4 million years ago. Like I said, dates are finicky. These dates may be off. You can always fact check me. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm wrong. These were one of our first tool making ancestors, and were smart and one of the first evolutionary steps towards human. The Homo habilis was about 3 feet 5 inches to 3 feet 9 inches, and they were scavengers that lived primarily off carcasses of other animals' prey. Due to the fact that they scavenged, they often they were often killed by other scavengers. Their small sizes did not help them at all. They barely lived past 20. About 1.5 million years ago to a million years ago, the Homo habilis evolved into the Homo erectus, at least in dumbed down terms. Homo erectus, who ended up out hunting the habilis, then became the Neanderthal and like lived with the Homo erectus, if you know what it. That was a very stupid way of explaining it. I meant that like they had a divergent point where the Neanderthal came out and then they lived side by side with the Homo habilis. I am very bad at explaining this. And then there were a bunch of others, of course, but these are just like the main ones. The Homo sapiens, also known as modern humans, evolved about 315,000 years ago. They would have lived around the same time as Neanderthals. Neanderthals would have lived with us at a point. And at some point, the rest of the humans died off, leaving really only us.